New at 11 o'clock, drivers beware. Police say the Charlotte area is a hotspot for something you've probably never heard of. We hadn't. Criminals are posing as tow companies.
They are selling your cars to local junkyards. By the time you figure it out, it's likely your car was crushed into scrap metal. WBTV's David Spudd uncovered a legal loophole that actually makes it easier for criminals to commit this crime. It's tonight on Your Side investigation.
It just devastated me. Still bothers me every day. I come out and don't see my truck here anymore.
Scott Smith calls his 92 pickup truck a family heirloom, one his dad bought 20 years ago.
I had a lot of, sentimental ties to it.
Only Scott and his fiancée Cinda haven't seen it for weeks and won't ever see it again.
I'm furious. I'm not mad. I'm furious.
What happened? Well, a few weeks ago, the couple was driving into Charlotte when the truck began to shake.
The clutch of the transmission, it would not go in gear.
The couple did what anyone would do. They called a tow truck. They left with another family member, knowing the tow would arrive within minutes.
I don't sleep because it stays on my mind.
But when the tow arrived minutes later, Smith's truck was long gone. It had been picked up by a separate tow truck, something police call a phantom tow truck. Police say these brothers were the phantom tow drivers, Clifford and Thomas Burrows. Police say the two took Scott's truck to this scrapyard and made a pretty penny crushing it into sellable metal.
It's just like, being called and hearing my dad and my brother died all over again. That's what I had left of them. And somebody took it and destroyed it.
The scrapyard, Gilbert Iron and Steel, bought the car from the Burrows brothers. They say they had no idea it was stolen and found out hours after they bought it. Police say Gilbert employees called them when the Burrows brothers tried to bring in another stolen car the following day.
I'm sure they're not the only ones doing it. I'm sure it goes on all the time.
Yes, say police, it does.
It's pretty frustrating.
Sergeant Richard Tonsberg is the top dog when it comes to stolen cars at CMPD headquarters. He says last year, more than 200 cars and trucks had the same fate as Scott Smith.
We're not in the business of putting businesses out of business that are legitimate. The salvage yards are a legitimate business. They are not the problem. It's the record drivers coming in. We want to put them out of business.
But the big question, how did the Burrows brothers, according to police, steal and sell Scott Smith's truck to a scrapyard with no paperwork? Thanks to a North Carolina law, any vehicle more than 10 years old does not need proof of title for it to end up like this.
North Carolina needs to change the law.
Which is exactly what State Representative Tim Moore says he plans to do.
Does that strike you as a little bizarre?
Yeah, and it's just been that way as long as anybody can remember that you didn't have to have a title.
Moore's proposal is twofold. He wants a 3-day holding period before the scrapyards can crush vehicles, and also wants owners to have access to a real-time database to know if a car is stolen. Right now, scrapyard owners in Mecklenburg County get a daily hot list of stolen vehicles, but it's not updated minute by minute.
And we've got to do something. Folks who can least afford to be having their things stolen are victims of these crimes, and that's what's happening time and time again.
Meanwhile, Scott Smith says it'll take time to get over what happened, and the fact that the state law is not on his side.
They could back up in my yard, pick my vehicle up, and take off with it without any paper, any documentation. And just all they got to do is tell the scrapyard what it's not stolen.
David Spunts, WBTV on Your Side.
Representative Moore wants local law enforcement and scrapyards to share the same database where the yard automatically enters the vehicle ID, the VIN, into the system when they buy the car. That will show if the car is stolen. Moore's bill will go before a committee in Raleigh next week, and we certainly will keep you posted.
Right now, though, we're going to keep you posted on the weather. All of us very interested to hear what tomorrow will bring, and of course the weekend. Eric Thomas is tracking it all in the First Alert Weather Center.
All right, Molly, thank you, and good evening. Let's get right to it. It was a beautiful evening. Ellen DeVeni sharing her good photography work, by the way. It's called the Pink Moon, but it doesn't look terribly pink, but it will be full exactly full at 25 minutes after 11. So if you look out the window right after the newscast, it's about as perfectly circular as you're ever going to see it. So it was a delightful day, but for some, we talked about this earlier, a frosty night, and then, of course, some rain heading back our way for the weekend. Beautiful shot of the HD Tower Cam tonight, 62 degrees, light wind out of the east-northeast. At about 6 miles per hour, the dew point at 32, so that's dry air. You see the humidity and your pressure rising at 30.27 inches of mercury. Let's look ahead, and once again, it looks like we're going to find ourselves in a fairly cool pattern. We were 76 yesterday, only 70 the high today, so already the cool air trickling back. There you see the average, this line, and you'll see the entire week ahead, we will either be at or below average. Now, honestly, that's not a big problem. When averages are in the mid-70s, I would call that a pretty delightful weather pattern. But in the meantime, a lot of variation. How about 62 in Charlotte and just up the road, 49 in Concord and Kannapolis. That's impressive. 42 Morganton and almost into the 30s. There it is around Beach Mountain. For our part, out the door, 8 o'clock. Here comes your Friday, 49, cool and a quiet start. So a very nice Friday on the way for you. It's the weekend where we're a bit more concerned. So overall, you still see a lot of cool air around the region. Let's take you through the noon hour. Not bad. With the sun coming back out, quickly back into the 60s, about 71. 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, happy hour, A-OK. 67 in Charlotte, 58 in Boone and Blowing Rock. But again, there's that patch of rain that has developed as anticipated, and that'll start sliding eastbound. Any risk of severe weather confined between Shreveport and Dallas, southeastern Oklahoma. All right, so your futurecast, next 24 hours, here we go. Watch your clock through Friday. The rain moving through the Mississippi Valley, leading edge into about Nashville. And then the extended futurecast, here we go. We'll take you now into Saturday and Sunday. The rain beginning to make its move toward the Charlotte area. There's the noon hour, and then beyond that, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it looks like it'll be overtaking a lot of our counties. But notice on Sunday, this is where you start to see considerably more rain in the morning through the midday, and of course that could be affecting services as well. All right, 72 on Friday, nice day. The rain in here late Saturday, probably light. Wetter day on Sunday, and then after that, the rain begins to taper off. Beautiful temperatures, so a fairly quiet week coming up, but as said, a little bit wetter, we think. That'll be on Sunday. That's the way it shapes up. Right now, here's Paul and Molly.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Wanted to give a special shout out to 500 women tonight in Charlotte at a big girls' night out fundraiser for the Ronald McDonald House. Big fashion show, big auction. Reporter Melissa Hankins and I emceed, helping share stories of local kids with medical uphill battles. It's a group that really makes a difference in our community. Thank you, Ronald McDonald House, and of course the Isabella Santos Foundation was there as well.
Boy, big crowd. Thank you.
Lano's talking about the NFL draft and the Panthers pick. He'll tell us his take in just a moment.